You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, culture, Hamilton's all-in Backstreet Car Meet. We check out the hugely popular Rodder's Breakfast from McLean's Island in Christchurch and Gatecrash Kev Redshaw's timeless auto restorations in Palmy. But getting us underway is the first of this season's feature cars. The good folk from Maguire's sent us to check out Martin Bennett's mean and green 37 Ford pickup.
I remember vividly, and I still often think about it, I would have been, 12 or 13, living in Upper Hutt, and there was this 34 Coupe, it was purple, and it laid a patch coming out onto Main Street. When I saw that, that just blew me away. I'd started to build models of cars, and just to see that car in real life, that hooked me. I don't think I'm influenced by one trait. I've had a Porsche, I nearly bought a Ferrari once, but I heard how much they were to service, so I didn't buy one of them. I've had Alfa Romeos, I've been in the Alfa Romeo club, so to me it doesn't really matter as long as it's a car and as long as the person driving it loves it. If you said to me, you buy the perfect car you want, I'd say, well, I just haven't got enough money because I want them all.
Yes, it'd be fair to say there's been a few of those perfect cars that have come and gone from Martin's shed. The current crop seem to be there for the long haul though. Dad's super original HQ Prem and last year's Beach Hop winning Ranch Wagon. But perhaps the angriest of them all, this 37 Ford 1.5 ton truck turned hot rod. A project wrestled from fellow club member Jim Hannon's possession.
I'd seen Prime Time. It was an American one, very similar to how Jimmy had done his. He probably took it off that, but I liked the stance, I liked the way it sat, but it was a bit raw for me. Once I bought the 4-bar rear suspension setup, and then I bought a SoCal front end, and I decided to buy stainless rather than getting things powder coated, and I went, no, this ain't going to be right if I just have it matte black, you know. So the whole context changed, and we probably lost a year because of that, but I think the end result, like, it's different. There's nothing else out there that's the same. Some people get it, some people don't. But it's my truck, it's cool, I like it.
The 37 sits on a modified English pilot chassis. While it may have been easier to start from scratch, Martin persevered, lengthening it to suit the 396 big block and shifting the firewall forward while adding horns to bookend the Terraplane grille. But clearly it's the cab and tray that has copped most of the treatment, and it's one of those where do you start deals. It's also not quite one size fits all.
For people to understand what it came from to where it is now, being so small with the cab and channeled and sectioned and everything, it's really hard, because you say to somebody it was a 1.5 ton work truck, you know, it's pretty hard for people to get. For me, I'm only a small guy, and the truck doesn't fit everybody. You know, there's a few guys that can't sit in it. It's probably worse than a Model A to sit in as far as room goes. But at my height, it doesn't matter. But I think if you're 6'4", you'd be struggling. But I didn't build it for anybody else. I built it for me, and I don't know. It's not going anywhere, so it doesn't matter.
And if you thought the truck's drastic reduction in scale would also apply to the power plant, then you'd be watching the wrong TV show.
My engine rebuilder was trying to convince me that I should put a 502 in it, and that was the way we were heading. But we picked up this 396 that had all the internals done. It was set up for an offshore boat, and they changed the rules, so that block became no good, so he could step up from a 396 up to a 454. So it was like the perfect start. It had all the right pistons, it had all the right rods, it had a steel crank and had everything right. So I said, yeah, this is me, let's go down that way. Then I had trouble with the Inlet Manifold because I was adamant that I was going to run Webers. I'd seen it on a Moon catalogue from back in the 60s where they had a big 396 with Webers on it. And I thought, oh, well, that's easy, I'll just get hold of Moon and say, send me one of those manifolds. And they said, sorry buddy, that mould went years ago. So I actually had to get one made in the States. We found another company and that ended up being a disaster because it wasn't right. You know, the ports weren't lined up, it didn't quite fit the block. But the engine reconditioner that I work with, he put that right. So internally the engine's probably had a lot done to it. I mean, it's not overly wild, I think it's just under 500 horsepower. And I've only got a 1000 stall converter in it, and so it doesn't get up straight away. It's a bit hard to get going and get those Webers on their peak. But once they're there, it honks. In the wet, it's impossible. It is, because the carbs need to be able to get a bit of juice. In the wet, she's impossible to hold on to. But it's fun. It's funny that the publics tend to get it, whereas I think traditional hot rodders, it's not a Model A or it's not a 32, so it shouldn't really be here. I think they're trying to think that I'm taking a take on some rat rod from America, but it's not. It's a 37 built into a hot rod. I just think it's just a little later than a Model A or a 32, and it's fun to drive. It's different.
Okay, moving right along. Thanks to our mates at Need a Car, we're headed for the bright lights of Hamilton City for the second Culture Backstreet Car Meet.
We kind of first got the idea just because there's so many shows out there that only cater for one type of car, so we've opened this up to Euros, Jappers, American, anything pre-87. We're still trying to keep with that classic vibe, and yeah, just bringing everyone together from kind of different views that's still into cars.
It wasn't a car show that we could all go to as a group of friends. Like, all of our friends have got maybe Japanese cars and Euro cars and obviously the lowriders, but there wasn't a car show that really included everyone.
The event's referred to as a Backstreet Car Meet, and it's just that, nestled a few roads back from Hamilton City's main drag. Culture's all-in approach is immediately evident too. If it's pre-87, it's welcome here, which makes the lineup a fair bit different from your standard hot rod show. And because us car people are all so nice, the Culture crew put your entry fee to good use too.
Giving all the money to Dream Chaser Foundation, so they help out the families with kids that are struggling with cancer. So it's really cool to be able to give back to somebody, and you know, we're all non-profit, so we work our ass off to make this happen for a good cause.
Culture's a great show because it brings together a lot of like-minded people. We all like cars, we all like old cars, but everyone has their own unique tastes, from hot rods to Euros and lowriders. It's a great chance for everyone to get together and support a great charity.
It's organised, but it's not over-organised. You get a cross-section of all makes, models, different likes and dislikes, so it's really cool.
Yeah, very relaxed day out, just easy going, bit of a donation to good charity, and yeah, hanging out with the boys.
Come along, have a good day, and eat some good food and chill with some good people.
Stick around for a closer look at the cars of Culture after the break. But before we go, we figured you wouldn't mind a nosy around the hugely popular Petrolhead Rodders Breakfast, a monthly affair at the Customs Club Rooms at McLean's Island in Christchurch. The breakfast regularly and often easily tops 500 cars, turning the Sunday morning into a full-on car show. Originally kicked off by Rick Ives and Will Sales, the run was born in 2010. 137 breakfasts were served for number one. A pretty good start for sure, but come 2018, this is something else. As far as vehicles go, there's quite the range on show. As you'd expect, a big chunk of the turnout is iron of American origin, but that's accompanied by plenty of offerings from Aussie and the UK, with a few bikes getting in the mix too. Even the general public car parks has been getting pretty full of late. If warm food and cool cars sound like your kind of morning, make sure you get along to the Customs Club Rooms on the first Sunday of each month.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Need a Car. Right, thanks to Need a Car, we're back to Culture, Hamilton's Backstreet Car Meet. This is round 2 for the show, and while there's plenty to please most here, both the gentlemen who founded the event are what you call a little partial to the lowrider. This was further reinforced by the day's turnout, a strong showing from clubs including Carnelli's and Old School Rides, and typical of the genre, a bit of a bias towards the GM platform.
It's a 1968 Impala, 4-door post. It's running 350 in 350 trans. The guy that owned it had it from brand new, the first owner. He was a corporate cab driver, worked for a limousine company, and the likes of Muhammad Ali and Cliff Richard have been for a ride in the car. The guy passed away, a mate of his bought it off the widow, and it was really done, when I bought it, I'd done about 5,000 cap miles in the last 5 years. I got Chris Harrison at Bad Penny. He installed a hydraulic kit for me. Just a good sound car to go cruising in, family love it. 4 doors, I got a couple of young kids, and it's real handy.
Organiser Nick's Riviera was here last year, but there's not a whole lot of the car that's escaped his attention since.
Yeah, slightly different. It's been a busy winter, to say the least. Full repaint, bumpers have been fully engraved and gold plated over in the States. So it's been an absolute nightmare to get done, and a whole heap of other stuff, just little bits and pieces. So she's running real well now. Never ever finished. So it's still got a fair bit to go. I mean, if we're a full custom boot and interior, if we want to go any further. But maybe on to the next project now.
A more compact member of the GM family was this freshly road-ready 63 Corvair Monza Club Coupe. These little Chevs are rear-engine, a 144 cube flat 6 doing the job here, while a rare car needs rare wheels like these 4-spoke Kragers. The package deemed cool enough to jump the queue ahead of Plan A, a Nash Metropolitan build.
I like things that are different to everyone else, and it's something I hadn't seen before, definitely hadn't seen in New Zealand. So the uniqueness of it appealed to me, and we brought it and just went from there. The plans from here on in is hopefully a paint job, if I can convince my partner into it, and just drive it and enjoy it and have some fun over summer.
It's a 1956 Chev Sport Coupe, running just 350 small block, baby small barrel, turbo 350, discs front, basically out of the lateral stock. We've had this coming up probably 20 years, and we bought it originally off Pat Paul. Fortunate enough to get it off him and built it. Took about 7-8 years to get it sorted. It was a bit of a cock case, but it's a good ride now. Just like any of us really, I suppose, it's just the 56 is the one that appealed to me out of all of them, although I'm told the 57's the car and the 55's the car, but 56 is it for me, so love them.
Despite the day's dedication to keeping things low-key, a number of people put a lot of effort into getting here.
Yeah, it's approximately 3 hours just south of Whangarei from Ruakaka. Yeah, got a bit of a sore back, not the most comfortable car to drive, but better than it was back in '64. It's an EH Holden, 64, it's running a 350 Chev, 350 turbo. It sits really nicely on 65, 70 mile an hour, just loves it. So it was a special to begin with, and with a few extras, premier extras. Just, it was a one owner car when it was hot rodded back in '96. So imagine just buying a one owner EH, then doing a full rotisserie on it, you know, bit of a shame. But anyway, so yeah, I got off the guy who did the rotisserie, and I've just repainted it ourselves. It's ready to drive for the summer. The old EHs, I mean, they're a bit of an icon, you know, here in New Zealand and Aussie. Everyone loves an EH, and I just love seeing them. They're just so cool to see on the road. You know, everyone's thumbs up and loving the car.
To be fair, Culture isn't really a show for the trophy hunters, but the relaxed afternoon is topped off with the presentation of just a couple of awards. Tony House's Model A Roadster nabbed Top Hot Rod. Best Muscle Car went the way of Steve Gorter's 68 Charger, while Kelvin Taylor's 60 Poncho Wagon was awarded Best Lowrider. Look out for Culture number 3 just before Christmas. Okay, next up, it's Shed Raid time. Thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, we're palmy bound to gate crash Kev Redshaw's timeless auto restorations.
Well, Timeless Auto Restorations evolved about 12 years ago. I was sort of working at home, building a few cars, built a couple for myself. Then a couple of people say, can you build me a car? And then it just sort of snowballed from there. With cars, you're born into it, isn't it? It's just in your blood when you're born. It's either there or it isn't. So it's just a passion that's always been there, so. Oh, every day is different around here. You know, we could be working from working on the GD Falcons through to a 32 Coupe. At the moment, the motors come back for the GD 500 Shelby, so that's all dynoed, ready to pluck in. So, and that's the beauty about it. Or, you know, a customer might ring up and say, hey, I've got a rear axle seal that's gone, or can you quickly fix this? I need it done. We're going away. You know, there's a lot of variety. All my cars aren't really showy or blingy. I like subtle and small, and I always have. It's just got to have a nice wheel combination, sit nice, a few little subtle changes. It doesn't always need a big supercharger hanging out the hood, or, you know, a wild paint job. You know, like I've always made a statement by less is best. Well, most of the stuff I build is like it's finished. Like when it leaves here, it's got my seal of approval. It has to sit right. Everything has to be spot on. Like I'm real fussy. There's, you know, if it doesn't leave here unless it's got 100% ticks on it, it has to be right, you know. And you know, with mechanical things, there's always something that niggles at you, and some things take a little bit more time than others, but we always get it right. The hardest part with it is you're working backwards when you build a car, because the customer knows that what they want it to look like when it's finished, so you're building everything backwards. The idea is I sit down with the customer and we say, right, what's your final vision? What does this have to look like? Like, it has to sit right to start with, like, you know, what wheel combination do you want? And the bigger the wheels, the more braking you got to have. So you've got to really make the customer understand. It's good to see a picture in a magazine and say that's the car I want, but A, have you got the budget for it? And B, everything else has to flow around it. You can't put 20-inch wheels on it with small brakes. So there is a process that you have to follow that makes the car safer and handle and everything else. And then once people get the handle and they realise that, it's all good.
One of the most recent builds is also one of the most full-on. Paul Bailey's award-winning 70 Dodge Challenger in Pro Touring style.
It's hard with people's dreams, because it's been his dream car his whole life to have a 70 Challenger. So you've got to sit down now and build something that they've had going on in their head for like 20 years. But Paul was a real good customer to deal with, because he was focused, he knew what he wanted. We never did anything twice. That's why it took so long to build the car, because we were waiting on decisions, or we were real fussy with everything. He said to me right from the start, I want all my gaps at 2 mil. All the gaps have to be perfect. That was his number one thing. This car has to be, you know, that was it. So we've finally achieved it. Took a lot of, you know, massaging and things like that, but it paid off. Yeah. Sourced the car for him out of the States, and then we had the Hemi built in America. And I said to Paul, it's got to keep with this 4-speed, like he was talking 5 and 6 speeds. I said, nah, real muscle cars have 4 speeds, so we'll leave the factory 4-speed. It was a 4-speed car.
Keeping the Dodge a Dodge was key for Kev, and it wasn't just the 4-speed up for discussion.
I love door handles. I'm a door handle man. Like, the car's meant to have door handles. He wanted shaved door handles, so I said, okay, you can run with that. But I said the car still has to look like a 70 Challenger. Everything is subtle. I didn't want a car sitting there that looked like it didn't know what it was. It's a real satisfying build, the car. Like, it's sort of a one-off that you'll do in your lifetime to that standard. But it'd be good to do another one, but it's a lot of work and it's challenging. The best part of my job is that I look back and over the years, like I'll go to the Levin car show, which I do every 2 years, and like we always take 4 or 5 cars to that. And it makes you so proud when you just see all these cars lined up and you think, geez, I've built all those, Or you'll go to a show or you'll see it cruising down the road. That's the most satisfying part of the whole job. There's no other better job in the world, really. And the smile on the customer's face, like you're building other people's dreams, and that's the best part about it. Like when you show them their keys and say, here, go for a skid, or you take them for their first ride in their car and you just stand on that loud pedal and the noise and they're just, yeah, and just you see they're like little kids, and you see that excitement in their face and you go, yep, we've just done it again. And I don't think you can put a value or a price or anything on that, just bringing someone back to life like they're a child again. It's an awesome feeling. Yeah, real good.
Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.